What's up, Style Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Styled for Life with your girl Katie here. I'm super excited about today's episode. We're going to get into some nitty-gritty styling tips. So today we're going to dive into how to choose the best coat for your body type and your body shape. I'm really excited. I don't feel like I do enough of these like body shape episodes, but we've been talking about this a lot inside of the Style Squad, so I wanted to bring it to you guys too. Super excited. So before we dive into the information and the content, I want to be really intentional also around the resources and the actions that we can take, because this is something that I've really been trying to be intentional about in my own life. And it's so funny. I don't really do words of the year. I never really have done that. There are words that I'm attracted to for sure. And I just had an episode with my friend Helen, who does copy and sales. And we were just talking about the power of words on the podcast last week. But something that really comes up for me is being methodical, which is not a very sexy word at all. Last year, the words that were resonating with me when the new year was coming and the year was winding down was quantum, iconic, juicy. You've heard me use that one over and over. And I live in iconic and juicy and emotional. And like I live in that space. So as a business owner, that drives the passion. And I'm really trying to match that up with like, how can I be more methodical and make all of these things work together? So I'm excited about today's episode because it feels a little methodical. But that being said, let me roll it back. My point of saying before we divulge into the information and the content, let's talk about the actions that you can take today that can be really helpful to you on your style journey. So some free resources and paid resources. As always, free resources, obviously listening to the pod, that's what you're doing right now. Free resources. I just launched a brand new style quiz. So it's an interactive, it's not the PDF, it's an interactive styles quiz. And I broke down my casuals a little bit more because I feel like I attract a lot of casual women. So if you haven't taken the interactive style quiz, go take it. It's really fun, super quick to take. It's like, 8 questions. And it comes back with some amazing resources. And you will get your own personalized style shopping board just for you based off of your answer. So super excited. That's one resource. Resource number 2, free resource number 2 is the holiday gift guide. So I recently just put together a holiday gift guide for shopping. This gift guide is centered around key pieces and key things to shop in your wardrobe that can be considered investments for the year. So they're not really gifts as in like, oh, here, they're Christmas themed or holiday themed, and we're just going to wear them for the holiday. These are things that I like to shop during this time of year to get really, really good deals on. So I put those classic items in there. I put like the 12 categories, and then every category, it has shoppable boards so that you can go in based on your body shape, your preferences, and shop what feels good to you. I even send you a little video on how to do that, and that's all free. So all you have to do is sign up. They'll be in the show notes. You can sign up and just say, hey, send me that, or hey, I want to take the quiz, and just click through and do those things. If you're like, this is great, Katie, I've been listening to you talk for like 9 months and I'm ready to have a 2-way conversation where we get to talk back and forth to each other, you can always schedule a call, katiejuststyle.com/contact. I said that really fast because I was like, hold on, I'm going to put it in the show notes. And if you're ready, all I have to say is 2024 is coming in hot. It's funny, as I know a lot of people slow down this time of year. I feel like I speed up because everyone's already thinking about what they're doing in Q1 and they want to come out the gate strong. Lots of photo shoots, lots of speaking engagements. So if you have something coming up and you want some support, or you just want to talk about what that could look like, what is a VIP day? How does this even work? Let's just hop on the phone and chat. So I put that in the show notes as well. So like I said, we have free resources. And if you're ready to get some one-on-one, because you know that's what you need, the accountability, you need a style wing woman. 2 heads are better than 1. Go ahead and schedule that call. And as always, if you want the community aspect of styling, if you want to get dressed with your friends, if you want a safe space to drop your photos when you try on clothes at home by yourself and don't have, the person at the retail store helping you to tell you how to style your outfits, that's what I created the Style Squad for. It's the virtual version of you getting styled in the store, right? Because let's be honest, not all of us are going to go to the mall, shop around the mall, and have access to the people that can help us pick out clothes while we're shopping. I personally don't even live by a mall I like. So it would just take me 2 hours in driving time just to get to the mall. So shopping online saves me a ton of time. And then the Style Squad can be really supportive on helping you figure out, is this working? Is this not working? Should I keep it? Should I return it? Actually, that's great. You just need to add the belt and these shoes and pull it all together. So that's another resource for you. All of this is in the show notes, of course, as always. So let's dive into the show. So today I can't believe I just sung like that. So sorry, I'm just getting excited. Today, we're going to talk all about coats, and we're going to talk about body shapes and what coat is best for your body shape. So let's start off with my Hourglass girls. So Hourglass, seemingly, it should be really easy to style Hourglass shapes, right? Because the key to the Hourglass is that it is already proportionate, where other body shapes spend time deciding how they can be more proportionate, or if they're adding volume in one area of their body, making sure they're balancing out in another area of their body. Hourglass's job is to just make sure you're not covering up the proportions. And when it comes to picking out winter coats, this is something I see my Hourglass ladies do over and over, is choose boxy coat styles that then just dwarfs their body and it makes them feel unattractive. So hot tip, because I know I have a lot of friends in Arizona who may or may not be buying coats this season. Anything I'm talking about here, whether it's a coat, it's a jacket, we could think about dress styles. These are tips that you can actually translate to other clothing styles. I am just speaking of coats because here on the East Coast, it's getting a little chilly. It was 32 when I woke up, technically freezing. So I wanted to dive into coats for the season. So just side note. So Hourglass ladies, we want to emphasize your figure. We don't want it to be too boxy, right? So for you, and I'm going to go on a limb and say for everybody, you'll see this tip repeat itself. We want to make sure that we're emphasizing your waist. So belted trenches, tailored peacoats. Tailored just means that it's tailored to a body shape and it's not the boxy shape. So when you hear someone say tailored peacoat, that's what you're looking for. And the reason I'm sharing these words with you is that when you're done listening to this episode, if you are going to be doing some online shopping this season, these are the key words that you want to use when you're on Nordstrom shopping for your new coat or wherever you're shopping for your coat. So Hourglass, you want to look for belted trenches. You want to look for tailored peacoats or wrap coats. So those are coats that don't necessarily have clasps. They literally wrap, think like a wrap dress or a wrap top. All right, up next, my pairs. So my pairs for balance, for body shape, in case you're not familiar with the body shapes, really quickly, I'll touch on each one. And another disclaimer, body shapes are kind of annoying because there's no good words for these. Everybody has different body shapes. You could be an Hourglass with a long torso or a short torso, or you could be an Hourglass Petite or an Hourglass Plus. There's so many different variations of this. Like one of my style teachers told me, she said, think of it as a fruit salad, right? Like we all have a little bit. So you might notice different parts of yourself and different versions of these body types. You could be an Hourglass that's also a pear, or you could have an Hourglass figure that then has, as you've gotten older, has morphed into an apple, right? We all have a little bit of both. The Hourglass, because I don't think I exactly defined it, is our hips and our shoulders are equal and we have a very defined waist. That's why anything boxy doesn't look good. So my pears, so they usually have narrower shoulders, wider hips. One surefire way to know that you're a pear is if you wear, say, mediums on top and large or extra large on the bottoms. Chances are then that you have a pear shape. And your goal when buying coats is to focus on balancing proportions that draw attention to your upper body, right? Because we want to draw attention up to the upper body so we can balance out those beautiful hips and that beautiful booty, right? That's what we're looking to do there, is create proportions. It's just like in home design. And I tell my ladies this all the time. Think of styling your body the same way as you would think of styling a room and designing a room. We don't put all the heavy furniture on one side and then a couple little things on the other side and then walk in and feel like it's very feng shui. So if you're working through body acceptance, and that's part of the journey you're on right now. I like to share that analogy because it gets me out of my body as I'm navigating, gaining weight and not losing weight and all of the things that we're all always navigating. All right, so my pairs, we're focusing on balancing proportions. So you are going to look for these specific coat styles. Again, I'm giving you keywords that you can search. Pairs, you want to look for A-line or swing coat styles, or anything that has an embellished shoulder details, or anything that has a really wide collars, like a really wide lapel collars. So you can pick really strong necklines, things that have lots of buttons. I was thinking of a leather coat that has a lot of buttons and motos, a lot of zippers, like a very moto style leather jacket. Something like that would be great for you. You can also play with the sleeves a little bit. So cape coats are really popular. And something I've seen as a trend this season is a lot of trenches or just coats in general with built-in scarves. So this is something that you could explore with too. All right, now let's jump to my apples. These ladies, my apple ladies, are stronger shoulders, bigger bust, maybe have a wider midsection, and this is where we carry our weight, is all in our upper body. And the key thing to remember here is that when most of my apple ladies want to hide their midsection, right? They feel like it's too round. They want to hide it. They want to draw their eye away from that, but that actually creates more attention at your midsection. So what we want to do is to define your waist, but we're defining for your waist is the high waist. This is our true natural waist right below our rib cage. This is what we want to make sure is defined. So for my apple ladies, it's not about covering up the midsection. It's about drawing the waistline up, highlighting, accentuating our high waist right underneath our rib cage so that we can show off those amazing legs and create some balance to our upper body section, right? Our upper curves is what I'm calling it these days as I morph into this body shape. Sounds sexy to me, so much better than an apple. So for you want to really shop for structured coats that have defined waists. So belted styles. Duster coats are actually also really good because they lengthen out the body and they give the illusion of the body being longer, taller, stronger, slimmer, faster. You get to choose what word you're using here. So that's how I would style my apples is I'm going to steer clear of too much going on up here in the midsection. I want to keep my lines long and clean, and I want defined waist and belted styles. All right. I want to hop to my inverted triangles because my inverted triangles are pretty similar to apples. And I get this question a lot. Well, what's the difference between an apple body shape and an inverted triangle shape, which sometimes can be referred to as the strawberry shape, right? So we have the pear, we have the apple, we have the strawberry, right? So the strawberry is the woman that feels like she has really broad shoulders. She may or may not have a large bust, but for her, it's always around balancing out her shoulders. So this woman wants to be really particular. This body shape wants to be really particular around the seams on their shoulder lines. You want to avoid any dolman styles. You want to avoid anything that drops off your shoulders because it's just going to make your shoulders look even more wide if that's the style that we're trying to avoid. Now, I want to put a lot of disclaimers in here because we're talking about body shape. And I know it's a really emotional, touchy thing to talk about because I deal with this. I don't even want to say deal. I support women with this on a daily basis. And I mean, I'm on my own journey, right? I always have been on my own journey. And I'm raising a daughter who has the opposite problem or has the opposite concerns around her body than I've ever experienced. And it's so freaking personal. So you'll hear me, put a lot of disclaimers in here because, again, fashion is art. But it is a little bit of science. And at the end of the day, I just want you to trust yourself and I just want you to feel like you're right. That's what I like about fashion. This is where, as a stylist, I'm always trying to meet that space in the middle where style and substance and the real you come together. So any of these really blatant style tips that I'm sharing here, if you're like, not me, then just like any of your favorite Peloton teachers or any of your favorite influencers, they would tell you to trust yourself, right? So, I just throw my Peloton out there. You guys know I love my Peloton teachers. So anyways, let's bring it back, sis. Inverted triangles. So my inverted triangles and broad shoulders, right? We want to be strategic with your coat picks. So single-breasted coats are really good for you. We want to avoid the double-breasted because that just is adding more and more fabric up here, and it's creating even more structured and even more, say, like a military style boxy shoulder line. And we're trying to soften that up just a bit because we want to add some more volume down to those hips and those legs, right? We're trying to create our proportions here. So shawl collar styles are good for you. Any coat styles that add details around the hips. So a coat that's kind of maybe fitted through here, and then once it hits the hips, it could flare out a little bit, or maybe it's a two-tone color. So on top is a neutral color, and then down at the bottom is a brighter color. Anything to draw the eye down more. All right, now let's swing it all the way back around to our rectangles. And if we're talking about fruit shapes, often referred to as our rhubarb shape. So the goal with our rhubarbs, and again, everybody's different because we have fuller rectangles, we have slimmer rectangles, but the goal here is to create curves because the defining factor for a rectangle is that we have equal hips, equal shoulders, but we literally go straight up and down. There's no defined waist that like we have with the hourglass shapes. So we want to create curves and we want to add visual interest. But what's really important with this body shape is we need to make sure that we're breaking it up into the thirds and that we're not just walking with the 50-50 style ratio. If you've been hanging out with me for a while, you guys know I'm always talking about the golden ratio. And I always credit this back to home design. If we're setting up vases in front of the fireplace or on the counter or by the front door or whatever we're doing, how many vases do we put? We never put an even number. We always put an odd number because design elements usually look better in odd numbers. So our goal is to break our body up into thirds. So who does look good in those double-breasted styles that I told the strawberry inverted triangles to avoid? Rectangles. Rectangles can look amazing in double-breasted styles. They also can look really good in cropped styles because cropped styles can then create the faux waist and they look beautiful on top of skirts and or dresses for this body shape. Also, peplum coats can work really well for the rectangle because it's the flowiness of the peplum. We're trying to soften it up a little bit, give a little bit of curvage to the otherwise square straight lines of the rectangle. And bold patterns are another really fun way to play to add some va-va-voom to that rectangle shape. So I also want to touch on plus size and petite size because I know that within these 5, like I said, they're really super basic and everybody's got their own version of these. I know for a fact, as someone who is technically hourglass, who's also considered petite, but is also considered like full-size petite and has a really long torso. Shopping for clothes and coats and pants and otherwise can be really annoying. No one fits in one bucket. So we talked about the big 5, right? I put up both hands 5. That looks like 10. We talked about the big 5 body shapes. And now I just wanted to touch on really quickly plus size and petite size. So if you're any of those 5 body shapes and plus, what I would recommend if I was coat shopping for you was to look up empire waist styles that also come with wide lapels and collars. And we want it to be tailored fit. So earlier when I mentioned the tailored pea coat, so if we get a tailored pea coat with really strong lapels and we can take the belt off and we get to adjust where the belt hits on a tailored pea coat because we want to make sure we avoid being boxy and we get to decide exactly where we're going to create our waist at. That's my favorite way to style plus size ladies when it comes to coat shopping. For my petites, so if you're 5'4" and under, you're technically considered petite, but 5'4" is that line, because this is where I live, that if my legs weren't short and I had a short torso instead of a long torso, you're right on the line of having to wear petite pants that fit or just being able to wear regular length pants that fit you. So I'm just saying that so you can decide what works best for you. But for my petites, picking out coats, I recommend not letting the coat go below the knees, right above the knee. is going to really elongate the legs. And if we're going below the knee, then I want you to go as long as you can go, because we're trying to create that column, right? We're trying to create that column effect to make us look more powerful, longer, leaner, faster, better, stronger, taller. If, again, that's what you're going for. But anytime we're choosing coats, which add a lot of bulk to our body, it is important to be mindful of where we're adding that bulk and how we want it to fit on our styled bodies. So for my petites, I always try to shop above the knee. I like monochromatic one colored. Like earlier, I was talking about other body shapes that they could play with color blocking. My petites, I would do monochromatic one color. It's a very powerful style element. It's powerful for anybody, not just petites. My plus sizes, my rectangles, any body shape can use that. But specifically for my petites, I find it really powerful in a tailored fit. I think personally, most people look better in tailored fits. But again, it really depends on the combination of body shapes. It depends on your fruit salad of body shapes. So if you are looking for a new coat, use these keywords, these ones that I mentioned in today, to make shopping that much easier for you. And I did include coats in the holiday gift guide that I mentioned in the beginning of the episode that you can download and you can pop in there and see which ones are right for you. A couple of key trends that you'll see this season when you're shopping for coats, just so you know, is pops of red. Red coats are all the rage right now because the pop of red is a really powerful trend. I do think that red is a classic color, right? It's a primary color. Red's never going to go out of style. If you like bold coat style choices, I do think this is a coat style that you can invest in this winter, right? And like, I completely think it's a classic color. So if you have a bold personality, do not be scared to invest in those. That's completely fine. Also, another coat trend that I've been seeing, well, tailored coat trends for sure are all the rage. Really nice stitching, really beautiful bold buttons, right? We're seeing that continue on from fall. But another trend I wanted to call out is a lot of built-in scarves. So skinny scarves were on the hit list for fall 2023 trends. And I'm seeing a lot of skinny scarves built into coats. So if that's something you love, being fashion forward and you love playing with the latest trends, that's something that I would totally tell you guys to look out for. Awesome. So go get the holiday gift guide so you can do some shopping. If you have any more questions for me on body shape or brands or where you can do this, DM me on Insta or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm hanging out in both places, or reply to the emails that I'm sending out if you're on the email list. All my contact information will be in the show notes, along with your free resources and your paid resources. And I have one last request. If you love today's show, please rate, review, and share it with a friend. It's the easiest, best way to help me grow this show so that we can be amazing together and keep the journey going. Awesome, lady. Thank you so much for today. Like I said, everything's in the show notes. I will see you on the flip side.